Hi everyone, welcome to today's video. My name's Stephanie and today I'm going to be talking about the best of cracked polish. If you don't know, my best of series is basically where I talk about my brand favorites. So today's video is going to be all about Cracked, which is an indie brand based in Washington State. For full disclosure, I am an affiliate with Cracked and they have sent me the majority of these polishes in previous PR, and a lot of my recent review videos have also been sponsored, but all of these opinions are still going to be honest and my own. It's just me talking about my favorites. So without further ado, let's just get into them. So I of course want to start with these shimmers because that's just one of my favorite finishes, and Cracked has a lot of different types of shimmers, if that makes sense. The first one I want to talk about though is O-Type Star, which is a really beautiful gray jelly kind of base with a glowy blue shimmer. As I'm sure you'll notice, I am a sucker for blue shimmers, and this one in combination with that gray squishy base is just so glowy, so otherworldly. I feel like we often see this kind of blue shimmer in a purple base, which is, you know, very stunning as well. But this color is a bit more unique to my collection, which is why I want to recommend it, especially if you love glowy shimmers or if you are kind of a fan of gray polishes. I think this is a really stunning one to try. Another blue shimmer that I really love is in a totally different base. This is Ready to Stumble. This came out in the collection in summer. I'm blanking out on the name, but it kind of had this like foot related theme. That's another thing about Cracked, is that they have these really fun, out there, creative kind of themes for their collections. Not the biggest fan of that one, but the polishes themselves were so stunning, and I would say this is one of my top favorites. This has a little bit more of an opaque kind of crelly buildable base compared to the last shade, but it still has this really glowy blue shimmer. It stands out so nicely against the base. It's just super bright, so eye-catching. I love this color combination, and I think it's a solid one to try, especially if you're a green lover and you don't already have something like this in your collection. These next two are technically shimmers, but they're much different in their appearance compared to the first two shades. So they're a little bit more opaque. Maybe the shimmer particle is a little more sparse, you know, it's not as finely milled, but still incredibly sparkly. And the first one that I have is Crisis Averted. I want to say this came out in a collection late last year, if not early this year, but it is just such a stunning, deep, moody kind of color, kind of towing the line between a charcoal and like a really dark purple, but it has this gorgeous purple and cyan blue shimmer in there. It's just one of those colors that like took my breath away, made my jaw drop when I swatched it, and I feel like that's saying a lot because I don't normally gravitate towards such dark colors like this, but sometimes, you know, when I'm in that really dark, moody mood, this color is just chef's kiss. And in a similar vein, I have Wow, which is a stunning blurple kind of metallic-y shimmer sort of finish. Again, this one and the last one build up to be fully opaque in two coats. There's no visible nail line. So this is a really stunning formula that I think a lot of people would like, because I know some people don't like visible nail line like you might get with the first two shades, or specifically the very first one I shared. But yeah, the color of this is just so gorgeous, and it just has the perfect name. Like, you look at this and you go, wow. Speaking of kind of metallic finishes, the next polish that I have is Secret Purple. I really recommend this one, and I'm so excited to, because when this first came out, I want to say last year, it was just this limited edition batch release type of thing that I felt super lucky to catch in time, and ever since I've shared it, it's just one of those shades that people were like, oh my god, it sucks that I missed out on it. But to my knowledge, it is now available permanently in the catalog, and I would say this has a much smoother, almost more traditional metallic kind of finish. If you're familiar with their popular red shade called 23 Flavors, which is supposed to look like a Dr. Pepper can, this is basically the royal purple version of that. It's gorgeous. Such a silky, smooth kind of formula. Again, I'm not like super big into metallic finishes, but there's something about this color that I just love it, especially for October and spooky season. This paired with like a couple of other shades just made for the perfect spooky, witchy Halloween mani. For a bit of a 180, my next polish recommendation is Baker's Dozen, and this one came out in the Donut Shop collection, or no, sorry, the Glazed and Glossy collection earlier this year, but it's basically their glazed donut inspired line. So it has this almost semi-pearlescent finish. I know pearlescent shades are very divisive. To be fair, I'm not usually a big fan of them because they typically are just very, very streaky, not super flattering, but I have loved Crack's take on their pearlescent kind of line because it's just so soft. It's not nearly as brushstrokey as a traditional pearl, and it just looks so beautiful. They have a couple of colors, most of them being neutrals, but there are some brighter shades or darker ones. But I think Baker's Dozen is a new favorite when it comes to just a lighter neutral shade. It's just very classy and elegant. I know so many people are going to look at this and be like, that is absolutely not for me. But again, check out the other colors because you might like one of those even more. I would say another close favorite from this line is Lilac Frosting, which, as the name suggests, is a very light kind of icy purple. It's just so, so pretty. So if you aren't a big fan of pearlescent finishes, I would maybe consider giving these a try because I feel like they are such a great like in between of a traditional pearl, but something that's not just a typical shimmer, if that makes sense. Then for their magnetic polishes, I have two favorites from this year. The first one is Ghouls Garden, which came out pretty recently in their Halloween collection. It's just a gorgeous, almost raspberry kind of base color that has a super glowy greenish shimmer that shifts to blue in extreme lighting, and then there's this pinkish lilac sort of magnetic pigment. Just a really stunning color combination, a beautiful formula. I would say that this is really close to being one of those super finely milled magnetics where like the velvet effect almost looks like gel. It is just so glassy and gemmy, just very, very lush. Again, I know it's like technically a Halloween shade, but I love berry colors like this, especially for the fall and winter season. And I feel like that greenish blue shimmer, you know, kind of looks like the Aurora Borealis. So I feel like it can easily work for winter as well. And the other magnetic that I have is Lahar, which is so unique. It's like this gray base that has this bright reddish copper kind of magnetic pigment. Just totally nailed the inspiration for it. At first, I wasn't super crazy about it, and admittedly, I still wish it was like a little bit more pigmented in the base. That's mainly just a personal preference thing though. I just prefer my magnetics to be on the more opaque side, but you know, having them be a little jelly still works in their favor just because it makes them easier to magnetize. So, you know, depending on how long your nails are or how thin your coats might be, this might be a solid 3-coater for you and you might still have some visible nail line, but the color is just so unique, so gorgeous. I know a lot of people have had magnetic fatigue this year. We've seen a lot of them, but I feel like this is such a standout shade despite being on the more simple side. Next, I want to talk about their cream polishes, which I feel like across the board, Crack's creams are phenomenal. They have beautiful formulas that are just so highly pigmented. Like in one coat alone, they just provide really great coverage. So pretty much you just can't go wrong with what color you choose. So again, these are just, you know, my personal preferences. And the first one that I have is called Peep Toe, which yes, was from that same weird foot related collection from the summer. But I think this color is so beautiful. I loved how this looked on me, and I feel like that's again saying something because I'm not somebody who usually wears red polish, especially these kinds of reds where it's just like so bright and so saturated. I'm more of a fan of like a really dark, vampy, sparkly red. This is not like my go-to by any means, but I loved how this looked on me. So I imagine if you are a red lover, you would love this shade. Chances are though, you probably already have something similar to this, so in that case, ignore this. So yeah, I think this is just a really stunning shade. I know some people may not also love this one because it is one of those reds that leans a little bit orange. I think Calabrian pepper is like the more neutral one, maybe slightly blue toned. I'm not the best when it comes to like undertones and all of that. Obviously, I'm very fair, but I would guess I'm neutral, maybe cool toned. I have no idea. All I know is that I really loved how this looked on me and I have gotten compliments on it, so take that for whatever it's worth. And the other cream that I would really recommend is for my blue lovers. This one is called Bluebell Bonnet. I loved this one. It was just such a surprise because it seems so unassuming, I guess, in the bottle. But this was a flawless one coat formula. I just love that so much. It's so satisfying. But even the color was just another one that once I wore it, I was like, okay, wait, I actually like this way more than I thought that I would. I feel like it just has this perfect balance of being a saturated kind of color while still having like a little bit of this muted dustiness, which I know those two things are like complete opposites. I'm also not the best at like explaining, you know, colors and things like that, but it's just such a stunning shade, whether you wear it on its own or just use it for nail art. This is like a perfect pick. Cracked also releases a lot of crelly and jelly polishes, so these are much more translucent, more squishy compared to a typical cream. Crellies usually being a little bit more opaque, where if you build it up in 3 coats, you barely can see your visible nail line, while jellies, you likely are still gonna see your visible nail line unless you use a blurring base coat, for example. And I'm sure longtime viewers or, you know, people familiar with my cracked reviews know that I haven't always loved their jelly crelly kind of formula. If anything, I think my problem or issue is more specifically with the crellies, where a lot of them haven't been self-leveling for me, so they just still look very streaky and patchy even on 3 coats, which, you know, to me is not okay. So you do have to be a bit more careful with your application when it comes to floating the brush and, you know, just applying your polish very gracefully, which I am not really the best at doing. I am pretty heavy-handed, so I totally recognize that can also be like a user error kind of thing, but I just wanted to point that out there that a lot of the crellies, you know, haven't been my favorite, but I would say my top favorite of their official crellies is the shade called I'm Jaded. I don't remember when I picked this one up, if it was last Black Friday or just like a few months after that, which was earlier in this year, but it is a gorgeous jade color that I just love so much. I was a little like worried because again, it is that crelly finish that isn't my favorite. I would have preferred if it was just either a true cream or just a true jelly, but I thought that this one built up really nicely. And again, just the color is so stunning. It's just such a unique shade of green to my collection. And again, I feel like that says a lot because I have a lot of greens. So this is a really gorgeous shade. I just can't help but give out that like little warning that, you know, you might struggle with the formula on this one. But if you are just a lot better, like more delicate with your application, it shouldn't be an issue. And then for their true jellies, thankfully I've had a better experience with those because jellies just tend to self-level a lot better. There probably have been like a few that have been misses for me. To be completely honest, at this point, it's just hard to keep track of like the ones that I've struggled with and whether they were jellies or crellies. But at least when it comes to the ones that had better formulas, the colors that I loved, you know, the first one that I have is I Love You So Matcha. And this is a bright matcha green jelly. And I feel like for a jelly, this one does have a pretty good coverage where it's almost a little bit on the milky side. So I kind of think it's a little closer to I'm Jaded, where it's like a crelly with how buildable it is, at least compared to other jellies that I'll be talking about in a second. This isn't as sheer and glassy and translucent. So if you want something that has like a little bit more coverage and you don't see as much nail line in 3 coats, I feel like this is a really nice one in just a fun, bright green color. In a similar vein, I also have Breakfast at Monique's, which is this like aqua blue sort of shade. It is super, super pretty, just so soothing. I remember you used this in an aquamarine nail art back in March, which I just really loved. I feel like that's just one of the best things about jelly polishes, is that they're sheer enough that you can layer them and create like these different nail art looks. So I've generally been a fan of Monique releasing a jelly every single month. I kind of wish it was like a little faster than that. Like if we could just get a whole jelly collection for 1 month, that would be great. I feel like this one is also pretty unique color-wise, at least to the jellies in my collection, which the majority are from Cirque. So yeah, it's just a beautiful color, a really great formula that again is a little bit more buildable. You know, you get minimal nail line while still having that plush, squishy jelly kind of finish. Another favorite jelly is somewhat recent. This one is called Tomahto, which is pretty similar in color to Peep Toe, at least like, you know, at first glance, but they have a totally different finish on the nail because again, Peep Toe is like a fully opaque cream. Tomahto has that beautiful, squishy kind of bouncy formula. Again, just a stunning color, flawless application where it self-levels beautifully. So this one I think is a little bit more on the glassy side. It just looks so freaking good. Like I love this color so much. If it isn't obvious between this and Peep Toe, I had to include both. And the last jelly I have is the most recent one that came out, at least as of recording this, but it's called Simply Mauvelous, Dahling. And as expected, it is a mauve shade, which I, again, usually am not a big fan of, but I really love this one. I think because it's a jelly, so having that more sheer kind of formula just looks a little bit more flattering on the nail because you get more of the warmth of your natural nail coming through. I think a lot of mauves can just be very cool toned and, you know, can make you look like a little dead, or at least like for me. So it's not my personal favorite color, but I thought this one was so flattering, almost giving like a lip gloss vibe. You know, I know a lot of people don't care for these like neutral, boring sort of colors, but I'm a fan of them. So that pretty much wraps up the best of Cracked for 2025. I feel like they have done so many releases this year and it's hard to narrow down favorites. Again, these are just like my top picks when it comes to the specific colors in their respective finishes, but across the board, the finishes are just really great. So if you don't like any of these colors, there's so much more that you can choose from. Maybe with the exception of magnetics, I feel like Cracked doesn't have a lot of color variety with their magnetics. It's a lot of like shimmers, maybe like metallic shades, but yeah, just really stunning all around. And again, my only kind of warning or criticism with the brand is around their crelly polishes specifically, which I know is also something that I have said about Holo Taco's crellies, where I am just like not a big fan of them. I feel like with Holo Taco specifically, it just feels like they are very watered down creams because they do build up to be fully opaque in like 2 coats. At least with Cracked, they do still have that like squishy feeling. So it's not just like a cream, but they aren't the most self-leveling, which again, might just be user error because I'm just very heavy-handed. I'm a messy painter. If you are more careful, you know, you might have a better experience with them, which I hope is the case because again, for their crellies, like they do have a nice like color selection similar to their jellies and creams. But yeah, other than that, I can't really think of any other potential criticisms for Cracked. I feel like, you know, their website photos are always very accurate because I think a lot of their website photos do rely on natural lighting, which is so greatly appreciated. It's something that I wish a lot more brands would focus on. And yeah, I'm pretty sure I can't even think of like any other potential criticisms that I've like seen online about the brand. So overall, they're just really solid. So if you're interested in trying out Cracked polish, I would highly recommend waiting until their Black Friday sale, which I believe is going to start on November 28th. Everything will be 20% off. And the exciting thing is that you can also stack affiliate codes with their sale, so you can save a total of 30% off. As a reminder, I am an affiliate with Cracked, so if you do use my code YOGI10, you'll save an additional 10% off your order while also supporting me and my channel. So as always, a big thank you to all of you who do support me through that. It's always so fun to be tagged in like your stories with your hauls, especially as a thank you for all of the comparisons that I share and just, you know, my reviews and everything. So if you support me through that, a big thank you. But even if you don't shop anything, I would love to hear your thoughts or your top recommendations for other people shopping down below. But yeah, thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!